your questions or writing down your questions is the fifth speakers. After that, we shall be not taking any questions. All right. Would like to invite the fifth speaker from side affirmative.
I'll use this. I'll start on my next word. So what does Jacqueline tell you? Jacqueline tells you to think outside the box. Then you have Karen here who tells you that, oh, we can't think outside the box because we want to survive. That is the problematic thinking that we get when it comes to opposition side, the survival mindset. Now, when Jackie tells you that you cannot grow a sustainable income because you're capitalized in this box, therefore you cannot maneuver, what does that tell you? That tells you that immediately you need to go outside, you need to break those barriers. But they're satisfied because they're saying, oh, well, at least I can take care of myself today. That is not a sustainable income, right? A sustainable income is that long-term income, right? The income that doesn't die with you. Velios comes and tells you that sustainability is not survival. Sustainability also, she tells you that it doesn't mean free from risk. So therefore, everything that she's rebutting doesn't make any sense. But also, she comes here and talks about how we as entrepreneurs glamorize risk, but we tell you that risk exists on both sides. And it's actually problematic because the fact that opposition is denying that risks don't exist on their side is very wrong, to be honest. Because again, when it comes to jobs, you can also face things like, again, getting laid off and things of that nature, right? Going on to the next thing, she talks about the person who achieves profitability is the person who achieves a sustainable income. That doesn't make any sense because the question is very clear. It doesn't matter what you make today when it is a long-term income, right? So throughout time, whatever you make is what guarantees a sustainable income. Lastly, she talks about things in regards to investment and stocks. Investment and stocks, right? Kwamba a regular job, so what we tell you is that a regular job does have minimum wage. We have our speaker tells you how laws that are put in place, like this one in the second schedule, it tells you how minimum wage is 40,000 for the bare individual. How are you able to put 40,000 into investment and stocks? Is that that doesn't represent the regular jobs that we have in Tanzania. Furthermore, let's talk about the second speaker who comes here and tells us, again, he concedes that entrepreneurship, we have higher earnings. But he also talks about necessity, right? So what is the current necessity in this status quo? The necessity is jobs. There are no jobs. And the mechanisms that are trying to, again, perpetuate, it doesn't give us a solution to these things that, again, to these things that are present. Again, no jobs. Furthermore, the third speaker says that you can grow your income and things of that nature. But ladies and gentlemen, in 5 years, we've had stagnations. There has been no, I guess, no growth per se. So I don't know how they're trying to imply that. They talked about things in regards to failure and all these things. We think that this is not necessarily a problem because when it comes to entrepreneurship, failure allows you to learn what to do different. How does failure look like on their end, right? Failure looks like you being relieved from your job. You fail to do your job, you get fired. We fail, we learn that next time we need to pivot, adapt, and find new ways to solve the challenges that we face this time. Now, going back into our arguments, right? We'll not go into the history of jobs and how they're started, but it is crucial to note that traditional jobs were designed to serve the rich, blue collar or white collar. The reality of these jobs is that they're structured to sustain a lifestyle that is desired for the wealthy. For the mere citizen, this does the opposite, right? Regular jobs take away from your choice, your freedom, and in principle, they're a modern form of servitude, right? And before the opposition says that it's an exaggeration, consider this. Regardless of labor laws, regardless of human rights protections, even the fortunate 1% who are able to secure employment still complain of being overworked and underpaid. Jobs do not just take up your time, they capitalize you as an asset. You become a commodity. Now, let's talk about the reality that exists. Again, risks. That's the biggest claim that they have in this house. Again, we talked about risk existing on both houses, but the better question would be, who manages the risk better and who offers the greater reward? We tell you, when risk exists in both houses, the impacts that they get is that they lose their jobs. The impacts that we get is that, listen, we navigate, we pivot, and we find new ways to adapt to these challenges. Now, another thing is that the real issue of job security. Now, unless you are 1,000% sure that you can keep your job no matter what, you're guaranteed, then you don't truly have security, right? Unless maybe your boss is your uncle or things of that sort, which is not the reality for all of us. So we're replaceable, per se. As Dr. Winnie had pointed out, there is so much ease when it comes to fabricating cases, when it comes to employer and employee relationships, because people can be dismissed without servants' pays for the smallest infractions. Research from the International Labour Organization shows that 60% of workers globally in the informal sector lack legal protections and can be fired for little recourse. We think this is very problematic, and it does exist on their end. So risk is a bigger factor on their end than our end, because again, when we solve it completely. When they solve it, they end up jobless. Thank you.
We thank that speaker for that speech. Now would like to invite the fifth speaker from side opposition.
Hello, guys. So, unlike the debate yesterday, we didn't have similar cases from the side proposition, side opposition. So my style today is going to be that I'm going to talk about what they said first, then I'm going to talk about what we said. That way you can compare yourselves as the audience and see which side of the house has proven to you we can get more sustainable income. So the first speaker comes here with all of that stories about the box and everything and talking about how we are limited in growth. But our first speaker comes and tells you that we can grow through diversification. Sustainable income that comes from the employment gives you a salary that you can use for your expenses and open other enterprises and other bonds and everything. They come here with a statistic of the lowest income that only accounts for the small employees, but they're leaving out the large percent of people who get a sustainable income and have open businesses, as we can see. Also, they came here and attacked us for benefits, saying that the benefits are not well enough. But let me tell you something. Benefits are very important when it comes to sustainable income, because as a person who gets sustainable income, if you have health insurance, if you have your pension, if you have things that are backing you up, it is very well and good, which does not exist on their side, because not only do they need to insure themselves, they also need to insure their businesses. And with 90% being small-scale enterprises, they don't have money enough for those things. So they are not insured, and that puts them in a very bad position when it comes to sustainable income. So I come to their second speaker. Their second speaker talks about their sustainable income helping the nation. They say they get a lot of money and that's why they help their nation. I'm going to tell you something. Mind you that not everybody gets that high income. Most of these enterprises get 30% break even, but 70% operate at loss, and they only have money to cover their expenses and their operational costs. They don't have this money that you're talking about to help the nation. And also, when it comes to helping them through taxes, there are tax evasion and tax avoidance, and this is a very severe case when it comes to businessmen and businesswomen. They do not pay these taxes and help the nation as the side proposition is claiming. But on this side of the house, we've talked about pay as you earn, which is compulsory. That shows that we have a bigger impact on the nation by helping them through taxes than the said proposition could ever have. Also, I would like to speak about what their third speaker talked about. They talked about adaptability during the time of inflation, while my fourth speaker came and rebutted that and talked about the COLA that helps salaries to be adjusted during times of inflation. But on their side, they only attacked without defending themselves. If inflation comes to your side, you say that you'll also raise the prices. Do you understand that if you raise the prices, there are not going to be any demands, so you're not going to sell? And instead of these people who are going to be facing problems of meeting the expenses for a short while, you're going to have a dead business on your end because inflation has caused people not to buy your goods. Okay, I also come to their first speaker who came here and gave us a good story about Socrates and talked about them defending themselves on this point of sustainability against comfortability, but went ahead to show how their side is only comfortable and not sustainable. They talked about generational wealth, but according to statistics, that only happens to few continents such as Asia. But when we come to the context that we have here from Africa, this generational wealth, when they try their best, only ends at the 3rd generation. And some of them don't even go as far, they end in the 1st generation. And this brings comfortability to the people who are getting money because they know it is easily earned, which limits growth that they said they had in the first speaker. Growth cannot be found in a place where you can get money easily, but those people who strive to get that money have a room for growth and creativity in order to create their sustainable income. Ladies and gentlemen. Okay, their 5th speaker came here and talked about unemployment. These people painting a big picture for unemployment that it actually is. According to the 2022 National Bureau of Statistics of Tanzania, they showed that unemployment is at 9.7% rate. This is what the unemployment that's so big that they're talking about, 9.7% according to the 2022 National Bureau of Statistics. But according to the World Bank, 60% of the businesses that are started die in their first 3 years. If you compare, ladies and gentlemen, in which side of the house do people have a problem in getting sustainable income? Is it the 9.7% who are actually being given measures on how to get more employment, or the 60% that cannot even start the business to begin with? On our side of the house, we have been very compassionate on not only the financial side, but also the social concept of sustainable income. Our first speaker spoke of growth, which helps you to rise in ranks and also opens multiple income streams. Our second speaker talked about job security. The incident at Kariakoo, a person slept thinking he's a millionaire, and the next day the building collapsed, and that is not security because you did not predict this. But if you're fired, you're given a notice even 2 weeks earlier, which helps you to plan and find a new job. Skills are needed everywhere, so if you lose a job in one place, you can get another one. Even if it's not out of the government like you like, you can get in another private sector. But if your business collapses today, it is very hard to start a new one, and it will take years or not become possible. So in this side of the house, we have shown you how we care for the people and how we get more sustainable income than the side affirmative could ever have. So think of that context and choose your side wisely. Thank you.
Now we shall have the drill questions by the affirmative.
Our first question, as for what was said in the recent energy summit conducted days ago by the president of the World Bank, President A.J. Banga, that the next decade, almost 360 million youths in Africa will be ready to engage in the employment market, but then the African employment market system will only be able to accumulate just 250 youths. So this looks like out of 5 youth, only 2 are going to be employed. How would you respond to this?
Great question, by the way. We don't necessarily think that this is a problem of what regular jobs can offer. This is a discussion that needs to be made on how do we create these jobs in the first place and how do we create sustainability. So when you look at the side of a business owner, right, with increase in market fluctuations and the conditionalities and the ecosystems not being on your favor, it does not necessarily mean that you guys are at a better position to succeed.
Thank you. So the aim of this question was to mention that wherever we're going in the future, there are no jobs that they're so accounting for right now. It's proven throughout time that jobs are continuing to decrease, so therefore we don't have any jobs that they're trying to advocate for that everyone has access to. We don't have access to those. The second question is that the government of the United Republic of Tanzania and other international organizations like World Bank, ILO, have repeatedly done reports and have done studies that show that the pathway to a sustainable income is entrepreneurship, because they're seeing that with the growth of the population and the job creation market, they're not weighing together. So therefore, they're advocating actively. Through example, Tanzania, the vision of 2050, it actively highlights how entrepreneurship is a key factor. How would you guys respond to this if you guys are going against the status quo and what the government is actively trying to do, and also other international organizations? How would you fit in this system?
Okay, thank you for that question. But you have not shown us the relation between what they're saying and how it brings sustainable income. Entrepreneurship is being suggested not only for sustainable income, but to create goods that are in demand and everything. So that can be rebutted on the types of
So the relation of this question, thank you, Kija. The relation of this question simply highlights that where we're headed in the future as Tanzanians, as Africans, as a global world, is through entrepreneurship. This is how the government has found a solution to allow people who cannot secure these jobs that they're so advocating for, right? They've put this in our curriculum. They've put this in, again, classes, even in the university courses. They're teaching people how to actively be their own entrepreneurs. So I feel like this is very important. So again, you're not answering the question.
Can I add on what she said?
You can answer it, yes.
Okay, great. You also forget to mention that according to the World Bank Ease of Doing Business Index, Tanzania ranks at 141 out of 190. This necessarily means that even though we do not rank in accordance, even though the employment is an issue, doing business in the country is also an issue. Therefore, that metric in and of itself has already been destroyed.
And we agreed this in our statement. We said risk exists on both sides. We agreed to this, but then they failed to agree that risks is more endangering on their side, because when someone loses a job, they lose their whole livelihood and they lose their future. But thank you for highlighting that. And our final question was that, just yes or no, do you believe that in self-owned businesses, people have greater potential for innovation, which is important in this day and age? Yes or no?
No. That's because for us who have businesses, we have trainings, we have workshops, for example, prepared by the Tanzania Health Summit at Muhimu University of Health and Allied Sciences.
Okay, the speaker did not understand my question.
You have said about innovation. We are being given skills taught every day, but you are a food vendor. How can you innovate?
The question is, do you believe in self-owned businesses, people have greater potential for innovation, which is important in this day and age? That was the question.
I have said no, and I have said the self-owned businesses have this.
All right, thank you.
Are we ready? Yes? Okay, great. So if business ownership is truly more sustainable, why do many successful entrepreneurs, actually why do majority of the entrepreneurs start by working regular jobs in order to earn capital? What do you guys have to say on the issue of lack of capital in the country?
What do you mean by the majority? What is the percentage? What is the coverage? Who do you aim?
You're not allowed to ask me a question.
Please, it's not clear. Okay, please repeat your question.
I'll repeat my question. If business ownership is truly more sustainable, why do many successful entrepreneurs and majority of the entrepreneurs start by working regular jobs in order to save capital in the first place? What do you have to say about the ecosystems not being favorable for business owners?
Just to help you, many is very broad. So I can also say many of them don't start in regular jobs because there are a lot of people from the village who haven't studied, who don't have regular jobs, but they have started their businesses and they're doing their business from scratch. So many people don't do that.
Hello, hello, hello. Yes. Okay, we are back.
Sorry. To add on what just Jackie said, when you're talking about capital, you're not talking about billions of money. You can even have a capital of just 2,000 to buy 1 kilogram of groundnuts, and then you can sell it and you can create your self-employment.
Great. So how do you generate generational wealth with 2,000?
Business is a transformative thing. It is not just come up from nowhere. Having a huge business, being a tycoon is not coming from just nowhere. I think you have to hear about the story of Model G, the story of Bakhresa. All of them started with a low capital, but nowadays are the tycoons.
What's going on here?
Okay, so just to answer Karen's first question, she says, why do many start off, again, keyword, they start off there, but no one really ends up there, right? Because at the end of the day, they see that that is not the true pathway to a sustainable income. That's why you see many of them pivoting and coming to entrepreneurship, because again, long-term income comes from entrepreneurship.
Okay, I would just like to highlight that at the end of the day, in order to get into something, you have to be prepared for it. And side affirmative clearly agrees that our side is better prepared to enter into that aspect. We tell you about, okay, another question is, would you advise a doctor, engineer, or a teacher to quit their well-paying, stable job in order to start a business with no certainty of success?
Definitely. And I wouldn't only, not only advise, because those jobs that you're talking, the well-paid doctors and engineer, well-paid, they are not there. I'm in a medical field, I'm in a medical university. A lot of graduates graduate there and they're in the streets. So the jobs that you're talking about, they are not there. So if I'm talking to the finalists, to the graduates, I'll tell them, go out there and make a living.
So now where are we going to get people to treat us, people to teach us,
So I
people
just
to heal us?
want Karen to go back to the motion, right? The motion asks, which side guarantees a more sustainable income? Whether we have doctors or not, it doesn't matter. The fact that we have entrepreneurs means that we have the ability to reach a sustainable income. I don't know why we have to have, again, the people who she's mentioning as an explicit example in our end.
Thank you. That's a very big assumption to make, that you only need entrepreneurs to live, but I digress. Thank
Entrepreneurs look like all kinds of people. Thank you.
Just right on that, there are doctors who are entrepreneurs. They own their own polyclinics and their only mini clinics. So yes, there can be doctors who are entrepreneurs, as she can say, not only the one who are in regular jobs. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so we have a couple of questions from our audience. Before we get into the question session by our judges, so we have a question from Paxton Ferris. I will ask Paxton himself to ask his question for us. Paxton?
Okay, so this question was to affirmative. That's this side. So basically my question was that at least employment has minimum wage. The majority of entrepreneurs, or at least majority of businesses, startups, and that sort of thing, tend to run on losses, tend to run on unstable investors, and then the thing is, when you fail as an entrepreneur, chances are you're going to fail, but then you have debt, you have losses, you have lots of things you have to cover for. Unlike when you lose a job, at least you're still at like net zero, which I was asking, how is being in the side of having more debts and all that sort of thing more sustainable than at least having no job?
Thank you for, I'll answer. Okay. Thank you for a wonderful question. So the issue of debts or not debts, it is subjective to the individual level, because a person can be hired and has a job, but also go and get loans And that's what they say, that these people have a greater potential for loans. My mother is in a regular job. She borrowed I think, millions, and it is the 9th year now. They're still cutting the wages from what she earns, the little that she earns every single year. So the issue of debts is in both sides.
To add on that, we all know that when a business fails, talking of the tax laws, they can go to TRA and report that my business has problems, so please reduce this tax. For the meantime, I am working on my business. So they will not have debts from TRA.
I also want to conclude on Paxton's question, right? We don't necessarily think debts that debts are bad. Debts exist on both houses. It's not only equivalent to our side. They can also have debts. It exists on both houses. But then at the end of the day, the person who wins this motion is the person who proves profitability at the end of the day, right? So at the end of the day, even if they receive minimum wage of 40,000 and I make a sale in 2 months of 2 million, I still prove profitability, right? So it doesn't really matter in what time frame it takes me to get there. The fact is that they can work for 1 month and receive quarter of what I make. So, yeah.
All right. The second question has no name. If employment ensures social security, this is to opposition. Okay. You're talking about sustainability of person. Yeah, handwriting is an issue. My gosh. You're talking about sustainability of person who owner business. My question is that, is all business owners do all business owners achieve the sustainability of their ventures? That's the question.
So the answer to that question is going to be straightforward and very honest, that there is nothing that is 100%. There is no perfect machine, there's no perfect business, there's no perfect job or employment. So there is not all achieve, but most do. Thank you.
And this is also seen in the employment side as well. Not everyone who works is guaranteed a sustainable income. So this is a gamble and a risk that exists on both houses.
All right. Swali kwa opposers. Okay, I'm going to read this in Swahili, so bear with me. Vipi kwa mwajiriwa akifukuzwa kazi kutokana na utovu wa nidhamu wakati tayari amekwisha kopa mikopo mbalimbali kwa kujiamini kuwa atalipa kwa sababu ameajiriwa?
Okay, I will answer the question. He asked about what if you are fired and you have employment? Should I answer it in Swahili? I'm asking if it's English or either way. Okay? So I will answer first. For people who are regular workers, we have the unions. They have the teachers' union, they call it CWT. Those all stand for the rights of the workers. They first look, is it truly due to indiscipline cases? But the indiscipline case, an indiscipline case, any person can make it. But what I would say that we have the teachers' union, people have already invested in that, and they can pay for that. But also we have said the social security funds that he or she was paying when he was working, he or she was working. That money, he can request it and use it to pay the debts that he has. That's all I had to say.
I'd like to add on that. I think that if you do compare both sides, right? At least we tell you that something is happening today. I don't know, but something is happening. At least we tell you that on our side, we do gain access to these loans. So this person who has been fired does have ability to actually sustain themselves within this time while they're trying to while they're trying to become flexible and go and search for another job, right? But we tell you on side affirmative, they keep on painting a picture that businesses don't have risk and that we have much more risk. But realize that capital doesn't exist on their side because the environment in and of itself does not support a business owner getting capital to start a business. But we tell you that on our side, at least this person has these amounts of loans that that help them to become flexible and even look for another job. So hope is there on our side, I believe.
Right. The final question for Team Red. Many employees or workers suffer and face many challenges. Retirement. Why are you saying that regular jobs have sustainable income?
Okay, I'll give an answer to that. This is a comparative motion. Of course, there are challenges on both sides. And on the terms of pension, there can be challenges to some people who won't get enough pension or anything like that. But then, these people at least have pension, the least it can be. On their side of the house, the 90% of the people who are in small-scale industries, and also the 70% that usually operate on loss and actually just cover their operational costs, have no pension to begin with. So on this side of the house, pension is something that can be adjusted. They can go ask for it and take what they have accumulated throughout their lives and use it for sustaining themselves. But on side entrepreneurship, you can't claim that sustainability because they don't have pension to begin with, and most of them, because they operate on, or they only pay for the operational costs and make no profit, they have not accumulated any funds to help them when it's their time to retire. So on our side of the house, we prove more sustainability and not complete, because nothing can be 100% perfect, but at least on our side, we have an advantage of having pension in the first place, which on their side, the 70% of the entrepreneurs cannot secure.
All right, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for that session. We shall be moving on to the question session by the judges. We shall start with team opposition, because you guys have the mics. I'll hand it over to our chief judge.
Wasiwasi ndo akili. You are forced to think and come up with solutions. Can you engage with that argument? Because they have been making that argument that when you have your job security and you have your stability, you are not that susceptible to risks, and as a result, the same point they made about stagnation. So can you counter that argument that wasiwasi ndo akili?
Okay, I'll start. You know, one thing that I believe should actually be understood with this motion is that at the end of the day, when it comes to risk, right, risk has two main outcomes. You either fail or you succeed. And we tell you that on our side, right, we have a greater chance of success. So when it comes to exposure to risk, we have the ability to mitigate it. We're not, when you talk about innovation due to exposure to risk, it does not really help the situation considering the urgency of the problems that exist in the real world. So even though you have that exposure to risk and it enables you to innovate, the systems that are placed in the world do not allow you to break through and succeed. So what happens? You get depressed because You have a problem, but you can't solve it. We tell you that on our side, at least you have that consistent amount of salary that you get, right? You have that payment that when you get sick or when your family members get sick, at least when they go to the hospital, they're able to give out that insurance card that can actually protect them and help them. That reduces that burden on you as a person who works and for your salary and your income in general, right? We tell you that risk is necessarily painted as a good thing because of the outcomes that it could create. But in actual real-world situations, it is a very big threat, and it can destroy your livelihood. So on our side, at least we do mitigate this risk. We can't say the same on theirs.
Additionally, you've talked about wasiwasi being a good thing for them and motivating them. That can also exist in employment because every employee has their goals at the end of the month that they need to meet. And there is a quote that says that a goal with no deadline is just a dream. They have freedom on their side that they are accountable to nobody, so they can sometimes not grow and become reluctant because they're making some profit. But on our side of the house, there are supervisors who give you deadlines and projects on what you can do and reach a certain potential. So is created on both sides, and on our side there's actual supervision to reach that goal, unlike on their side that they're not held accountable for what they're making. So that also exists on our side, and it is also helpful because there's an additional factor of supervision.
Yes, I can add on that. When talking about risk to employment, we actually face the lower risk compared to them because in employment, actually, you are, as my fellow said about supervision, you're going to be supervised. And also, when you come about health risk, actually in employment, you go those insurances. And also, when it comes to the, after you retire, actually, we also face the lesser risk because of the presence of NSSF and the PSSF, which actually ensure us to receive those sustainable income after even we finish our jobs.
One of the arguments that you gave in this debate aside opposition is that there's diversification of income when someone is employed. My question is with respect to what motivation employees themselves have to diversify income, especially because a lot of them, as we know, tend to be very secure in their jobs. And since stability and security is what you're presenting, what is the motivation there for them to diversify income when they already have a stable one?
Okay, I'll start. When you come about diversification to the regular jobs, actually in employment, or if you're being employed into a company, actually you get the chance to network and to get mentorship from others. So if you are hired in a certain company, you'll find the people who actually are there before you. So you learn from them actually through that networking, and also there's an association which connect these workers. So through those associations, there's actually certain seminars and workshops which increase their skills to diversify and engage in other sectors. For example, most of employed people currently have got the UTT AMIS accounts. So actually, if I enter in a company, I saw that if I can take 10% of my income and I put it to UTT AMIS in a certain place, and actually after a certain time, I'll get my interest, I'll earn something. Actually, it will motivate myself to go and diversify to other places.
Additionally, so in employment side, we are starting to diversify. It's all because we are having enough income, sustainable income enough, so that to diversify. We have already paying for the expenses, but we are remaining with enough income to put it in another things while we are having already, yes.
When you are debating, you raised an argument that on the entrepreneurship path, there is a profit and no sustainable income. Now I'm asking, if you are able to reinvest the profit into a business, is that not a component of sustainability? Or you could probably clarify on that.
Yes, I would love to clarify on that. So What I said initially in my speech is that this debate is not about profitability, but it is mainly about sustainability. And I gave an example of if you earn 1 million today and lose it tomorrow, you have gotten a profit, but it hasn't been sustainable, right? So this is what we defend on the side of regular jobs. We tell you that we are able to get money that we can plan out to counter for our expenses, right? But we see that because of this money that we make and the expenses that we can counter for, we necessarily become able to sustain our lives. We don't necessarily say that profitability is bad in and of itself, but we tell you that because of the business environments that are set, it is very, very easy to lose this money that you gain as quick as a snap of a finger. And because you can easily lose it just like that, it means now that it is not sustainable, because even those children that these people are telling you you can sustain, the businesses can sustain their lives, we realize that businesses actually don't live out to get to that point, right? So even if you wake up today and your business is over, now how are you going to sustain the income of your children and etc.? But we tell you on our side of regular jobs, because of this money that we are assured of getting, at the end of the day, we're able to account for our expenses, and then we're able to plan for other things as well.
I can add on that. When you talk about sustainable income, it's not all about the profit you get, but how consistent and steady you receive your money. These entrepreneurs actually have got a tendency of receiving, let's say, from this month can receive 1 million, but after 3 to 5 months, they earn nothing. So, but when you come to the regular jobs, you receive your 1 million after 1 month, so that you can plan for your long-term needs, and actually you can have risk mitigation in comparison to entrepreneurship.
Additionally, we spoke about it from a social context because we believe sustainability is not only achieved from the financial aspects, like how they have perceived themselves, because from the arguments that they say, it is safe to say that they have created their side to look like money-making machines and forgetting other aspects of sustainable income. Sustainable income is also about social and ethical responsibility. We've spoken about work-life balance, which helps understand the difference between sustainability and profitability. You can get a lot of money, but if you do not rest, you do not interact with your family, you do not have time to yourself or insurance for your life, it is no longer sustainable but just profitable. We'll give you an example. For example, a pregnant lady in a work area. When it's their time to rest and actually make use of their profits, they can stay home because they have a maternity leave. But then have mercy for the businesswoman who is at 6 months pregnant and receives that they've gone bankrupt. Because at that moment, they will realize that they have profit, but it is not sustaining them because it is affecting other parts of their lives that could have remained sustained if you had employment, if you were on the employment side that gives you maternity leave, insurance, benefits, and security. So on this side of the house, we have touched more aspects of sustainable income that surpass the financial boundaries and go to the social context of sustainable income.
Yeah. So this one, I think yesterday, Chief Judge alikuwa anauliza maswali in a sense of giving you guys a lifeline, yeah? I think I'm going to give you a lifeline on this one. It is actually based on your response around some of the 2 questions that were asked that were revolving around the risks on self-employed. So I'm going to give you a lifeline just to give you a chance to elaborate them a little bit clearly but brief, because I didn't see that coming out very well from the briefing. So the first one, there was an issue of there's no job security. Someone can get fired. And I remember a response that was given from the labor law. Now there's a protection about 48 hours room that somebody's given before the actual effect of being fired. I mean, 48 hours is, in all terms and purpose, to me is quite a shorter period with the reference that you gave, which means there's only 2 days of security. Possibly you're gone. I don't see much security from that angle. But secondly, there was a reference, there was a question. If someone is employed, lose their job, there's a burden there, how are they going to recover that? How will they bounce back compared to somebody else who has a job? And one of the response that was given is that as an employee, you have pension benefit that can be used against. To me, that seems to be disadvantageous if you look at it, rather than not very positive, because even the little saving that you have is going to set off the debt that you have. So these are the risks that I would see, that I was not very convinced from your response. How do you...
There's an interconnected between myself, the company, and the loan giver. So actually, I think to our side, we have the lesser risk of like, if like being fired after giving like a loan compared to them. If like they receive grants or receive loan, they don't have the guarantee of sustainability.
To add on that, I think risk when it comes to recovering from losing a job is necessarily smaller than the risk that you get when it comes to recovering from losing and potentially a failing business. Why do I say this? You remain with your skills once you lose a job. If you're an accountant and you lose a job from an accounting firm, right? I still am able to become an accountant for another firm. I think that's necessarily saying that I can still go back and rebound. But if I'm a business owner, right, and I put in my tears, my blood, and my sweat into a business, and now I have lost capital and I am also in debt, think of how much it would take to bounce back. That's the comparative that we have here. We're telling you that risk exists more on their side. They really can't deny that, because that's absurd in and of itself.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay, today is the final day. I think this one is going to be a little bit technical. You know, as you're raising, I'll start with a simple example. As you're raising a baby in a family, you know, you got to provide for the baby, got to give him or her food, shelter, and whatnot. The business environment, similarly, you know, is being impacted by what we call the macroeconomics. Things like inflation, you know, things like changing government environment, you know, regulation and whatnot. I'll pick something very specific. For issue like an inflation and any other, you know, microeconomy that you can pick, but let's just start with an inflation, for example. It's a big cry out. How does one having a business with constant changes of microeconomies as we are seeing, such as an inflation, to say, I can give you a very typical example in Tanzania, we have dollar crisis and whatnot. How does having a business guarantee you an easy navigation towards these changes on the microeconomics to give you a sustainable income? Because I look at it the other way around. If someone is employed, you know, they'll still have their salaries. They will hear these issues of, you know, dollar problem, but maybe they will not affect them directly. But these things affect business directly. How does this guarantee sustainable income?
So one of the things that is very advantageous in entrepreneurship is the skill set, the ability, because when you're running your own business, you have to learn a lot of skills. So then one of the things that the entrepreneurs have that the regular people in regular jobs mostly don't have is financial literacy. So things like, for example, UTT has this called Watoto Fund. So in most of the cases, knowing that there might be inflation, to tackle that, the inflation and the changes in the market, the entrepreneur, as you gave an example that you have a family, you have a baby, you have a wife, if you want to take care of those people, then as you're doing a business, and then a part of it, you're investing it for the times that there'll be change, because that is a very critical point in entrepreneurship, that as much as there can be more, there can be less at times, and entrepreneurs know that, and that's why they tend to save in these pocket funds to tackle those future, crises.
I also want to add to that what Jackie said. So we understand that. Hello? Okay. So in our house, we understand that inflation is a possibility, right? But then again, it does affect businesses, but it also affects the employees who we employ in their businesses as well. So it affects us and it affects them. It's not singular that it's only like, how do you say this? Like it sticks to one singular person. It affects them as well. So we think that this is a problem, and the problem exists on both houses. It's not particularly only for entrepreneurs and business owners. When inflation happens, it affects me, it affects you, it affects them, it affects everyone.
Just one more thing to add. Inflation, it simply means the reduced ability to purchase. Okay.
When you are debating, you argued that on the regular job is about survival and not sustainable income. But what if this employee survives with the same salary and incentives for a long time, but also survives with the pension income after retirement? Is that not a component of sustainable income?
Sorry, can you please repeat the question? We didn't hear you.
When you are debating, you argued that on the regular job, it is a survival. Now I'm asking, if this employee in a regular job survives with the same income and incentives for a long time, but also survives with the pension funds after the retirement, is that not a component of sustainable income?
Thank you. Obviously, that's not a component of sustainable income. This is because sustainable income must have a certain component of growth. So if you are able to survive with maybe a pension is not growing, so you'll be using that pension, then decreasing, at the end of time you find yourself with nothing. So that's not a component of sustainability. As we have detained sustainability, must save you for a long time, but you also must have something in growth, must be growing.
I also want to quote, right? According to the World Bank, most pension savings deplete within 8 years post-retirement, meaning that individuals often find themselves back in the financial distress before even reaching their later years, right? So what then happens? You become dependent on a system that eventually abandons you. So again, you start over there, you get penned up where? Nowhere. So it's not they have double because they have bosses who are saying where is the deliverables, right? Where are the things that I ask you to do? Again, going back into the servitude nature of being an employee, right? So not only are you burdening yourself to make sure that you're getting that end of the salary, but you're also being burdened by the employer who's telling you, why haven't you delivered? You're being burdened by the government who's saying that, listen, where we're going to in the future is entrepreneurship. So how do you fit in a system that is not meant for you, right? Where we're headed in the future, it doesn't look like an employee-employer relationship. It looks like people being freelancers. It looks like people being able to manage their own income. It looks like living according to how you want and just being peaceful and being prosperous and having a sustainable income. That's how it looks like.
Thank you.
In addition, excuse me, in addition to that, I'm not totally disagreeing or against with you, but what do we as entrepreneurship do nowadays? We invent a business, and then you take these people with the certificates, then you give them a regular job, then you go to sleep and sit like bosses. So we do some, there is some, let me show you something that proves that these people,
institutions wage order.
These people normally do slaughter them by using this knife. This is the law. It is written the Labor Institution Act, and this one specifies the minimum amount of wages that as entrepreneurs we do give those people whom we employ. This is I can give it to you, then you even to go with it to prove. Then
thank you very much. Because of time, I really do apologize, but because of time, we have to do the final speeches. So we'd like to invite the presentation from Team Affirmative. For the benefit of the audience, the presentation on why they should win the debate.
All right, so I'll start on my next word. Ladies and gentlemen, how big would you dream if you knew that you wouldn't fail? How big would you actually dream? How would you limit yourself? How far are you willing to go? How many risks are you willing to take? So the reason why we believe that we should win this debate is very simple, right? Number one, we came here and we told you that yes, we understand that there is a challenge that is present, but then again, who gets the most rewards when it comes to this challenge? So again, back to the risk question. So this has been the question throughout this whole debate. Who has the biggest burden of risks and who basically mitigates it the best and who gets the rewards? We tell you how it looks like on both sides. The person who has the risk of, again, getting unemployed and the person who maybe their businesses might fail. And we tell you failure is not really an option, right? Because we have the option to adapt and pivot. Entrepreneurs never truly fail. They learn from what they did and then they do it better the next time. Now, statistics that have been ignored are things like 13.7% of Tanzanian youth are unemployed, according to NBS 2020, and later, furthermore, 64% of recent graduates cannot secure regular jobs. It is a reality for over 75% of youth who settle for the informal sector, not by choice, but by necessity. Why? Because the job market is saturated, opportunities are scarce, and the odds are stacked against them. That is the reality that opposition has been running from the whole debate. We do not have jobs. So why then do they advocate for people to go and basically be part and compete in a vicious job cycle that is not favorable for them, right? The same way that they're saying that, oh, well, if we lose a job, we can go find another job. There is 64% other people who are also looking for that job. What makes you so unique from everyone else who's also looking for the same jobs with the same qualifications? They don't tell us. They don't give us a mechanism as to how their side actually guarantees a sustainable income at the end of the day. They give you things like benefits and all these things, but we also have them on our end. It is not particularly, the things that they're saying do not exist only on their world, but our world as well. We give you things like laws, how the laws tell you what minimum wage in Tanzania looks like. We tell you how 40,000% it is not okay to reach a sustainable income. That is the law. Are they able to change the law? Then they can't really. We give you policies of the Tanzanian vision of 2050, where we see the future of Tanzania is entrepreneurship now. They're telling you to advocate for a system where you're literally outside what is happening right now. When the government tells you, when the international organizations tell you that, listen, if you want to achieve a sustainable income as an individual, as a youth in a country where, again, there's rapid growth of people, then try to find ways, I'm going to say this in Kiswahili, kujadili, vijana mjiajiri, self-employ yourself. That is the solution that we have there, because we've already established that jobs are not there. We win on multiple aspects, right? We talk about sustainable income. We're not talking about the false sense of security that they're trying to give us, an illusion, or that promise that, again, there's less risk than the other side. Risk exists in both words, again. And the reason why we win, basically, is that security, control. We feel like when you have those two things, it becomes so much easier to, again, see where you're headed in life and see how you can achieve that sustainable income. They lack those things on their side because, number one, they're dependent. Number two, they're insecure because they don't have full autonomy over themselves. They don't have full autonomy over their work. They don't have full autonomy over what they actually get. It has been proven that within these 5 years, there has been no actual wage increase, right? So they can't tell us that, oh, well, we're okay with it because at least we have something and, we can feed ourselves for today. When we tell you that inflation and the economy is forever changing, right? So this 200,000 or 1 million that you get today is not going to be sustainable for the next few years because, again, wages stagnations. Now here's the difference. We offer a future where we aren't commodified for the work and less paid. In our world, you're building something for yourself, something that grows with the economy, and something resilient enough to withstand the inevitable risk and changes that come. And here's the cherry on top. You can dream as big as you want, knowing that with the right support and the right mindset, you will prevail. That is a guarantee that you get on our end. Right mindset and the right support. Furthermore, we tell you that the only security that you need in our world is the security of yourself. you are the one who's in charge to guarantee your own sustainable income, meaning that it's not up to your boss, your manager, your HR person, or your senior executive person to look if you should keep your job or not. It's just you inherently wanting to continue to pursue. And we tell you that more entrepreneurs are incentivized to continue. More entrepreneurs are incentivized, so therefore that is how we guarantee sustainable income. There is no way that someone is going to invest so much funds and monies just to let your businesses die. That is how we have incentive on their end. They do not have incentive because the only incentive that they have is that people look for jobs. Once they get them, that incentive dies because they think that there's a security. Thank you so much. Never been prouder to propose. Shout out to my mom.
And finally, ladies and gentlemen, let us end today's final with welcoming the team captain presentation from the team opposition.
Just checking. Right. I'm setting my timer. 5 minutes. I'll start now. You see, what side affirmative is trying to do is they're trying to tell you about a land of milk and honey, but they're not telling you about the 400 years that it's going to take to get to that point. They're not telling you about the snakes that are in that area. They're not telling you about the deserts that you're going to face, the extreme hunger. They don't tell you about that. They just paint a picture of, oh, we are going to the land of milk and honey. And we tell you that this is not necessarily the case in the real world. We tell you, number one, listen, guys, the truth of the matter is, since you are born, guys, we have students from Alpha High School here, right? We have people who want to become doctors. We have people who want to become teachers. From the moment you are born, you're put in school and you're created in order to become employed. Whatever you say about if you necessarily point this as a bad thing, you're going to have to now stretch beyond your capability, right, to get into this entrepreneur sector. But we tell you that, okay, fine, if you do say that you want to become an entrepreneur, you get into the real world and you're faced with real big problems, something that side affirmative is trying to deny. So let me tell you something. If we prove that their side has greater negative impacts in and of itself, we win this debate. And if we also prove that in order to get the benefits that these guys are so proud of, you have to come through our side, we also win the debate. So why do these guys fail? They fail on multiple things, but let me tell you the biggest thing that they fail on. They fail on not telling you the actual situation that is happening. They're trying to blind you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm telling you the truth here. Listen, the thing is, not everybody gets access to capital. Not everybody gets access to opportunities. Not everybody has these ideas to start businesses in the first place. So you are already disadvantaged when you get into the entrepreneurship space, right? They don't talk about the urgency of the problem. They don't tell you that, listen, you have to eat, you have to drink water, you have to pay rent. You will not be able to tell your landlord, please wait, my business is not doing so well right now, so I can't pay rent. They will kick you out, ladies and gentlemen. Where will you sleep? Will you sleep outside because you have a dream? Let's be honest, okay? Another thing they tell you is they portray that risk is greater on both sides. We tell you, listen, okay? Just listen. Risk on their side is greater because you have invested a lot of things, right? You have invested your tears. You have invested your creative capability. This is why the judge even said that people in Milembe are business owners, because in reality, you become depressed once your business fails. And that is the reality that is happening right now. 5 out of 10 businesses fail. This is not a number. These are people who put in their energy, who put in their hard work, right? Okay, but let's talk about why why they try to discredit the issue of regular jobs. It's because these guys understand, right, that in order for you to actually start a business, you do require a steady flow of income. Because businesses in and of itself, during their initial stage, require a lot of cash inflow and do not need you to remove cash, because once you do remove cash, you destroy the business growth in and of itself. So you require a consistent cash flow. That is what we provide for you. Let me get into why we win this debate. We win this debate because we tell you 2 things. We tell you, number one, This debate does not focus on profitability, it focuses on sustainability. And we tell you this by evidencing that if you earn 1 million today and you lose it tomorrow, then necessarily you haven't done anything to better your life, right, and become consistent. We tell you that sustainability is characterized by consistency, right? We tell you that consistency means a constant cash flow, something that these guys tell you that they achieve, but they don't necessarily tell you how they do achieve it. And because we see the systems that are present in the world and the way the ecosystems are set against their favor, we don't even think that they're going to attain this income in the first place. But we also tell you that even if it exists, at least on our side, with that amount of money that you get, right, you could set it aside, right? You could plan your expenses and then set a small amount of money aside to start your business. And this is the reality of what is happening in the world right now. Most of the people who are business owners start off as people who are being employed because they do realize that they need that income. And they can't acquire that income just by waking up and saying, okay, today, guys, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. Okay, fine, you have a dream. Where is the money to actually work on that dream? Where do you have the capital to do that? You don't, and that's why you need a regular job. Guys, don't let the word this is something that is necessary in your life. You drink water regularly, you sleep regularly, you eat regularly, because these are things that are important and they're necessary for your life. I have never been prouder to oppose. Thank you, guys.
Ladies and there you have it. Congratulations to all debaters. I will now lead the judges to the room to confer as I leave it up to...
That was a heated debate, guys. Na hakika wengi wenu mmepata tafakari kidogo kuhusu mada hii, aidha kujiajiri au kuajiriwa. Kupi kunakupa sustainability ya kipato cha fedha. Kabla ya kuondoa majaji wetu, ningependa kusema mawili matatu. Cha kwanza ni kuwashukuru wadhamini wetu wakuu ambao ni Umoja wa Ulaya kwa kusupport au kudhamini mjadala huu, lakini pia tunawadhamini na The Chanzo kama mdhamini wetu mkuu kupitia media, lakini pia kuna TCRO na the European Youth Sounding Board. Kabla sijaondoa pia nyinyi washiriki wetu, ningependa kumwalika balozi wa Umoja wa Ulaya, Mheshimiwa Christine Grau, apate picha pamoja na washiriki wetu wa mdahalo huu. Atachukua picha na team yellow and team red and team yellow, alafu wale washiriki wengine, timu zingine ziko wapi? Yes. Baada ya kuchukua picha na hawa, mtajiongea na wenzenu, mtapiga picha pamoja na balozi, alafu tutaendelea na ratiba. Najua mmesikiliza sana midahalo hii, kwa tutawapa break fupi ya chai hapo nje na mtapata kujuana, lakini pia ningewaomba tunavorudi kwenye ukumbi huu, usisahau sehemu yako, maana tunakwenda pia kwenye zawadi la zoezi. Zawadi. Tumeelewana, si ndio? Yes. Tutaanza na zoezi la picha. Majaji naomba msiondoke because tuna picha na nyie pia. Yes. Tutaanza na zoezi la picha na washiriki wetu. Your Excellency. Yes. And the Ambassador of Poland as well, please. So we're doing the pictures to accommodate because she has to leave for, yes. Karibuni. Tunaomba mje timu zingine. Other teams, please come to the front. No, they're going to do it, all of them, the 20. The whole 20 of you are going to do the picture. Ready? Ladies and gentlemen, kwa makofi matakatifu, naomba tuwapigie makofi. Hawa ni washiriki wetu 20 ambao wametoka kwenye washiriki zaidi ya 400 waliojiongea katika mdahalo huu. Kama nilivyosema hapo awali, tulipata applications zaidi ya 400, wakachujwa kuwa 100 na 56 walishiriki katika kujadili mada hii kupitia social media, yani mitandao ya kijamii. Na 20 hawa walipatikana kama top 20. Kwa hiyo mnaona ni jinsi gani wamepitia michakato kibao. Your Excellencies, out of 400 plus individuals who participated in the contest, only 20 of these made it to this finals. So that's a huge step for these young people to be here with you guys today. And thank you for supporting this program, and we hope the EU and partners will continue to foster this program as years coming by. And the judges, we hope to have you also next year. So please mark your calendar. Yes. Sasa zoezi la picha limekwisha. I would ask Ambassador Grau to give a short remark as she has to leave for something urgent, but please, yeah, washiriki mnaweza kwenda.
Thank you so much. And can we just not all give a big round of applause for all the contestants? They did so well. And I'm so pleased also to see so many people here in the audience today. It's fantastic. Also, again, to the people who were connected online, thank you so much for being here. This event is really what we had hoped for, and I regret very much I couldn't be here yesterday to listen to all the debates. I was told that they were outstanding as well yesterday, so as Paul said, a big congratulations to all the what you have achieved. Really excellent. I just wanted to say what I have seen today. I mean, there was fire in this room. I was quite impressed by the commitment, by the passion that was here, but it was also fair. Was there any beating up or any insult sounding boards here? But there's also, of course, the team here. They are very happy to take your suggestions also online. Now, when I will have to leave, I will leave you in the safe hands of the ambassador of Poland, whom I want to thank again for the gifts and the prizes, as well as to the embassy of Sweden for their support. I will follow, of course, online to see who is the winner, which I don't know. That's up to the judges. And finally, a big thank you also to the University of Dar es Salaam, who hosted us in this, on this beautiful campus and in this auditorium here. As I said, I hope we will have further occasions to do this, but now soon it's time for you also, the contestants, to realize the outcome and then to maybe have a little celebration as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ambassador, for that speech. I would like to, our judges now, you can have a breather as you decide who's going to take this crown home and who's going to fly to Poland this summer. Are you excited to fly to Poland? Oh, yeah. The judges are hinting too. They want to fly to Poland as well. Jamani, mnataka kunywa chai kwanza au mnataka zawadi kwanza? Tukubaliane, mnataka kunywa chai kwanza au mnataka zawadi kwanza? Zawadi? Shy. Tukubaliane basi, by raise of hands. As you know, of course, hiyo ni kitu muhimu. So what we're going to do, ushers watawainua kwa makundi ili tuepuke msongamano. So mtachofanya, you have 30 minutes only to have the health break. 30 minutes only. Mna shauku ya kujua mshindi, lakini pia tuna zawadi kutoka ubalozi wa Sweden, kutoka wadhamini wengine, lakini pia tuna zawadi kutoka Umoja wa Ulaya. Hizi ni zawadi za kwenu nyie kama wageni. Kwa hivyo, tusipoteze muda. You have 30 minutes to have a tea break, and then tutajiongea hapa ukumbini kuendelea na programu yetu. Lakini pia, wakati huo kutakuwa na watu wanafanya interviews nje. Kwa hiyo kama unaweza kunadi chuo chako, kwa nini mko hapa, kwa nini midahalo hii ni muhimu, kutakuwa na medias outside, utaweza kuongea nao. So feel free to have interviews outside where some of you students will be asked questions about your experiences of the EU debate contest for this year. But asanteni sana kwa nyote mliofika siku ya leo, na huu ni mwanzo na sio mwisho. Kwa wale ambao mnataka kuirejesha, translators, mnaweza kuwaona ushers wetu. Translators. Wale wenye translators, tafadhalini, tunaomba mrejeshe. Nakumbusha hapa kwamba sehemu uliokaa ndio hiyo ukirudi utakaa. To avoid msongamano, si ndio? Okay. So we can break for health break.